Bitches like to go on walks for peaceful things. I go on evil walks. On my walks, I'm definitely plotting about how I'm finna fuck somebody up. Like, everybody should at least go on one evil walk a week, bro.
Hey, fun fans, it's We Enjoy. We've got news and use for you this week. Let's get into it. We are the Mattitude Eric. I'm Matt Fowler. Say hello, Eric, Goldman.
Hello, everybody. Your voice was doing a little Peter Brady there, Matt. You're
I
having
mean,
a...
look, when are we not going through all types of changes?
It's true. It is always time
Emotionally,
to change.
hormonally, physically. Yeah. At this point, it's usually changes for the worse. It's a steep decline at my age. But yeah, as you're elder, let me tell you what's awaiting you.
Steep Decline is going to play Coachella next year.
I mean, who isn't? The thing is, like, Coachella is like, it's so overwhelming because how many? It's like 500 acts. It feels like.
Yeah.
We started this day with a pre-record. Matt and Eric over laughing at something that, in the flimsiest definition of what could be constituted as a joke that I made. And I asked him why he was laughing so much, and he said because it was really terrible.
That's the thing. Yeah, there's
and then two of us joking about my third pick for a movie from 1986, which you won't get to know just yet. Doing a weird dive that I hope we can recreate for the actual conversation about the movie itself. Anyway. So, we've got a lot to sort of sift through here.
It was a big news week.
It's a big news week, but also we should say that we're skipping a week, but not next week. But it'll just be a few days late next week because of the whole Comic-Con of it all. But we'll do a Comic-Con wrap-up news piece on Sunday.
Are we committing to that? Are we committing to that? I didn't know you're
Eric, you put it on the calendar. So
I'm up for it. I'm up for it. It's just I'll do it tired. Yeah. So when I get home Sunday, time dependent. But
I can do a whole ass main event 1986 movie yesterday in the throes of food poisoning. You can do Comic-Con tired.
I'll say 80% likely. It just like unless I don't think I'll get home that late. It's really because I'm thinking about you because you're ahead. It'll be later for you, but I don't think I'll get home insanely late on Sunday. So yes, let's try to do that. I would like to do that.
And I can do it while I'm packing for the overseas trip. Okay. So we'll do a Comic-Con wrap up, but then there won't be any for 2 weeks. Okay, so let's do the sad news first, which is the death of Sam Neill, the beloved Sam Neill, who, as we all admit that we are human beings and flawed, one of the least flawed of the ones of the actors who pass away. You know, it's hard when you get into sort of legacy and like, oh my God, if I look back in the 80s, did they do something awful? Were they bad on set? Did they, I would say he's about as averagely flawed as a human male could be, with also being a very beloved, nice individual who everyone speaks well of on set and will absolutely miss, and was a huge part of our formative years, specifically high school, I would say, middle school, high school on. Just a great, all around, from all reports, a great dude. And passed away after defeating momentarily, at least at this point, lymphoma. He had been sort of out of the public eye and working because they discovered he had lymphoma while on the set. They discovered a lump on his neck while on the set of the last Jurassic Park movie.
Right.
Ongoing chemo for a while until he was in complete remission, and then just sort of passed away now at age 78 from complications due to pneumonia. So unrelated to cancer at this point, but yeah.
Right. Although who knows? Obviously he's gone through
his immune
lot.
system.
Yes.
His immune system took a big hit, but yeah.
Right. So there probably is some connective tissue there. But yeah, this was like one of those ones that just was the doubly. It is a strange extra layer of sad because, like you said, like he seemed like a pretty freaking awesome dude. Because first and foremost, he just like meant something to us. As an actor, has an on-screen presence. He's part of one of like the most beloved movies ever with Jurassic Park. But then he's great in all these other things. We've done a couple of his like quirkier things on this podcast because we've done Event Horizon and In the Mouth of Madness.
We've done both his 90s horror movies. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And so, but he was always great. And then he cultivated. Then if you followed him on Twitter back in the day, you knew he was funny and quirky and weird and loved animals and would do really sweet animal videos on his farm with like petting his duck and just being,
Wasn't it one of the sort of pandemic remedies, like things that
yeah.
carried people through lockdown were his farm videos with his animals who he named after co-stars, like this is a chicken named Meryl Streep and stuff like that.
Yeah. So just, and then like one of those people where, because he was like a genuinely beloved person, the statements about him from the people who worked with him can be not, aren't just about what a great actor he is. They're so glowing because they all clearly really liked him as a person. So yeah, it just like sort of it really sucks, but also obviously speaks to a huge impact he made cinematically and also for those who knew him, but also those of us who just that online presence that can do a lot as well.
He first came to my viewing eyes with Dead Calm. Remember when we saw three
No,
movies
yeah.
in one day?
That
Yeah,
was
Dead
same-
Calm was
same-
the first time I saw him in a movie, and it was an interesting thing when an actor just comes out of nowhere and is like a really important part of a movie with more famous people in it. Dead Calm wasn't like Nicole Kidman wasn't a huge star at that point.
Well, that
but
was the movie where that I remember her being first on the radar for me completely.
No, exactly. Because Billy Zane was weirdly the person we knew going.
He was the
into
most
that movie.
familiar person. Yeah, I mean, it was not a star-driven film, but
I know.
yes.
Well, I guess I felt the same way when David Strathairn as the husband in River Wild was such a huge part of that movie, instead of like the husband who maybe gets killed by the Kevin Bacon character in the first act, and then she avenges him or something.
Well, it's funny. So it's funny that you telling
goodness.
me that I'd put that on the calendar was maybe go, well, I guess I won't do it. It was always going to be a long shot that I even try to do this. But the weekend of Comic-Con, the New Beverly already had scheduled Misery and Deadcom as a double feature all weekend, which was something I really wanted to go to, then realized, oh shit, it's Comic-Con weekend, I can't. Now, one of the screenings are going to have they've added a Q&A with Philip Noyce and Billy Zane, and then I also think Roger Donaldson, who obviously had nothing to do with that movie, but it was someone who kind of helped discover Sam Neill. So it's going to be kind of a whole Sam Neill tribute on like Friday and Saturday. But I was thinking maybe I'll try to go Sunday night driving home, but I also knew that was crazy, so I'm not going to try to do that.
That's crazy, but you know what? You are crazy, so it just fits. You know, to you, crazy bread is just bread at Little Caesars. Hey, so he starred in a movie called Sleeping Dogs, which was like a huge seminal movie for New Zealand cinema. I think it was the first movie ever shot.
That is the Roger Donaldson movie, yes.
35 millimeter. So it was a huge thing for him. And then he sort of acted a lot off the radar of little kids, Matt and Eric. Though there is a movie he did in the 80s that I do want to see because people have been talking about it mostly more for the past 5 years, which is Possession, which I've never seen. I know that's sort of this sort of fucked up entry in the horror canon, thriller canon, and I haven't seen it, but people have been talking about it for a while. But also, yeah, for a window in the 90s, Jurassic Park aside, it's like Piano and Hunt for Red October, and he was just in all these different things, and he continued to work even though it wasn't in more higher profile projects until he came back for Jurassic Park. But yeah, R.I.P. Sam Neill. It sucks, and fuck cancer, and also fuck pneumonia. And there are no shirts that say that, but
and he's got 4 completed movies, including the next Godzilla Kong.
Didn't pneumonia just also take Anthony Head?
Oh, might have been, yeah. Ooh,
maybe gotta watch that fucking pneumonia. Yeah.
But yes, he's got a lot of finished projects, and obviously Godzilla Kong casting him, of course, would be a winking thing to the fact that he's part of like one of the most popular giant beast movie franchises. So I don't know if he has a large role in that, but I am looking forward to seeing him in all those final movies.
I mean, I wouldn't call Holly Hunter and the Piano a giant beast, Eric. But okay. Hey, she's actually quite tiny.
She is.
Okay. Let's get into this. We have a vast sea of horror news to get to here. But while you're thinking about it, give us a review over on Apple Podcasts. 5-star frog splash review, please. You can write to us at weenjoypodcast@gmail.com. You can follow us and listen to us on you can listen to us on all the podcast places, but also the socials we're at is Instagram. What is it, Eric? Blue Sky, and I guess the old Twitter.
Yeah.
Okay. Eric Goldman, we are getting back Freddy and Jason. I'm
Yes.
lumping these together in a
Yeah, I know
way,
it was because it was
so-
like a busy day for both of them. Yeah.
It's important because we've already talked about the Crystal Lake series, and we knew that was coming, and we've talked about it. But as people who grew up with these franchises, and you, the Fred head that you are, I'm going to assert this, and I am not at all looking a gift horse in the mouth. I am happy to be getting these both of these properties back in any way, especially it's been so long without either, and the Jason one was always sort of tied up in fucking litigation hell. I would have preferred a Freddy series and a Jason movie if we had to swap, which we do not absolutely, but I'm saying like I want big hockey mask Jason back in a big way. And I think Freddy would be well served for a streaming series. Okay. That being said, Eric, the news about the Freddy reboot using the original script with the blessings and of course the payment to Wes Craven's estate, his widow and his son. Is this the way you would like Freddy back? Or are you interested in any way at all? Like any possible way?
Any way at all. I mean, so we knew for a while that the whole thing is that the original movie, and again, this is happening more and more with old franchises, old things, the stipulations of things, that the rights to the original movie has in what to do with them going forward. New Line and Warner Brothers still own distribution on the original movie, but as far as what you could do with them in the future, the rights have reverted to the Craven estate. And that they were kind of looking for a suitor or someone to pay to make a deal with for quite a while now. What we don't understand is exactly what that means, because this is how Variety worded it. It will be, plot details have yet to be revealed, but it will be set in the world of A Nightmare on Elm Street and based on the first 1984 film. Some people leapt to, they're remaking the first again?
Okay, so it's not even necessarily they're just using the original script and like trying to, I mean... Because the last reboot was a remake of the original film. It
absolutely was. So, but the way they word this seems like there's wiggle room, which is to say they can't take things from the sequels. Like they can't use Alice or Amanda Kruger or Constance, but they can use anything from the first movie and then maybe like branch off and do their own stuff on it. And I'm totally fine with like, I don't need like an origin movie. Just give me like Freddy. So I'm gonna be hopeful, even though I understand why everyone's always gonna be wary. And I'll say the two things that leap out to me are, one, it's going to be weird to have it. So I don't know if you said it's Paramount who won the bidding war on this. So it's going to be Paramount. And it's just weird to know that a Freddy movie will not open with the New Line logo. The house that Freddy built, the studio that became a big deal because of Freddy, will not be they will not be attached to this new movie. So that's a little weird. It's also funny if you know the history of Freddy and Jason and Paramount and New Line, that there's this swapping and that has gone on through the years. But the other thing is that of course it's going to be so tricky to recast Freddy. And I've had debates both online and with friends about, if they, it's like, he's so, Robert Englund as Freddy, people are attached to in a way that's different than other horror icons, because it was one actor whose voice we are hearing and whose face, albeit under makeup, we were seeing. So there's an attachment that goes beyond.
To a lesser degree, it's like Pinhead, right? Where it's like anyone else playing.
Right.
They did try to do a pin with the last Hellraiser reboot.
Yes, but people aren't, but Pinhead just never was as popular as Freddy, so there's a less of a thing. Right. To me, I've long been like, hey, Freddy is an iconic horror character. Freddy is now at the point like Dracula. I can't conceive that they wouldn't recast him, and I understand the connection to Robert Englund. I have a deep connection to Robert Englund as Freddy, but I think that Freddy should be played by different people, and as many problems as I have with the 2010 movie, it wasn't that Jackie Earle Haley was playing Freddy. I didn't like the makeup. I didn't like choices made in that movie, but it wasn't like, no, not Jackie Earle Haley as Freddy. So anyway, it'll still be tricky. I think it's very possible to get someone cool to be Freddy and have a new iconic. I do think, Matt, that I think we talked when we did the 2010 movie, I talked about this. They shouldn't try to dress him exactly the same. Like, but I know, but everything I'm saying, some people will bristle at. It's not Freddy if he's not dressed exactly the same. But I think they have to kind of change up some things to make people accept other things, even though you have to evoke a certain look. Anyway, it'll be tricky, but I'm going to be hopeful, and I'm just glad that it's been 16 years since there's been done anything with Freddy.
Okay, a couple questions here.
Yeah.
Middle-aged Freddy, or are they going to do young, hot, thirst trap Freddy?
Oh, shit.
What do we do here? Do we make Freddy sexy? Do we make Freddy fuckable? Like, what do we do?
I
Is
don't.
this because, like, first of all, if you're still going the child killer, child molester route, it could be any age, right? Like, it doesn't have to be an old dude. Because I'm thinking, like, what's the young actor's name who's in the new Anthony Bourdain movie who was in The Holdovers? What's that dude?
Oh, I forget his name. Yeah. Ah, God damn it. I forget his
Anyway,
name.
he's got a vulture face and he's thin. Like, he could be Freddy, is my point. So they could go that route, or they could just keep it like Boomer Freddy,
But the
like
only way I think you would do that is if you were doing an origin story. I just don't think you would bother casting
I
a
don't know,
young
he could just be a young janitor who was just a messed up young man,
Dominic Sessa, by the way, was killing me, so I had to
Okay.
look him up. I don't think they cast a very young Freddy. I guess is my longest. They could. I mean, Bill Skarsgård was Pennywise, and
Right.
you never saw his face in those movies, and it just didn't matter. So anything's possible, but I don't think. I guess I'm saying I don't think they lean into trying to cast a sexy young guy because I don't look.
All
It
right, how
was
about a sexy old guy? Hey, hear me
yes,
out. Harrison Ford.
sure. There you go. And they signed him to a 10 picture deal.
He's like, I've already been Red Hulk. Um,
Right? I'm in my franchise era. I'll do it all.
he's never not been in a franchise era, technically, I guess.
That's true.
So yeah, anyway, we don't know the details about that. It's all speculation at this point. It's exciting because having Freddy back, we'll see when we see it. But Crystal Lake, the teaser trailer dropped
Hmm.
for the Peacock series. That's I think the series, especially because of who sort of started this series as a developer, which was Brian Fuller, and his love for the first movie and the Pamela Voorhees of it all, is very Pamela focused. And we've got Linda Cardellini playing Pam Voorhees, and even the synopsis is, about her and the mystery of her and strangers digging into her past, and set in the backdrop of her son drowning in the lake. I don't know how much of the series is a mystery, like they find out, oh, she's the mom of the kid, like things we already know lore wise. But it's gonna focus, it seems at this point, focusing on all Pam stuff. So
Well, we know it's just we have no idea how much change. I mean, we know they restarted the scripts and everything, but where Brian Fuller had made it pretty explicit that he was going to use Jason, that it was going to kind of be like Hannibal, and that it would kind of probably use elements from the first four movies and kind of go through a lot of stuff. We don't know if that is still the plan. So it remains to be seen if we get Jason in a hockey mask in this show, which was going to eventually happen in the Fuller version.
I feel like a massive network note for a series like this is that we got to get Jason in a hockey mask at some point, right?
Yes, yes.
Because again, when I say I want a Jason movie and a Freddy series, that's what I mean. I want Jason, just put Jason somewhere, cruise ship. I mean, technically, he already kind of did that, but he was on a boat. But like, put him in a theme park. These are my go-tos, by the way. Put him in a Disney cruise. These were the things I reckon. What was I talking about? I can't remember when I brought these things up when I was pitching to you. Basically putting a character in different situations, and that's sort of a Jason situation. They already did the most extreme thing you could do with him, which is like flash forward dystopian future spaceship Jason. But I feel like there are different places Jason could still be and kill people with a machete. Is this a situation where it goes a little more like, obviously, spoilers for the first movie, I suppose, but like, someone's killing off these people, these camp counselors, as they train, as the camp is empty and they're training for it to open for the summer, reopen. And then it's a big mystery who done it, and then you realize it's Pam Voorhees, and she's killing in the name of her dead son. But she also is kind of hearing voices and possessed, and she's not right. She's pretty deranged.
It would be weird to me to do it as a whodunit, but not who's
No. I feel like this series is going to be kind of from the side of Pam, like the stuff
Yes.
we don't see right in the
Yeah.
first movie. But also, are we going to see how deranged she is, where these people keep dying and she doesn't realize she's doing it and think Jason's out there and alive? And she's like, Jason, are you doing this? Or
what is her understanding? That's a good question. What was funny to me though? Actually, this does answer a question about when can they show Jason, because doesn't she say? I think she's, again, it's a 30-second teaser, but I think they say 2 years ago Jason drowned, right? So
okay.
it sounds like a big lore change, and I'm not mad about this lore change. Is that in the movies in the 50s, he drowned.
Right.
And now we're like in 1980 or 79, if you go by the canon from later, this all happens. But this sounds like they moved that Jason's drowning to much more recent, so he wouldn't be an adult even if he's still alive out in the woods. The only thing that makes me laugh about that is I presume they did that because they didn't want to make Linda Cardellini as Pamela Voorhees feel older, which is very funny for me for two reasons. One, Linda Cardellini is 51 and absolutely could have had a kid 30 years before if you wanted to. Two, she is freaking beautiful, and it's funny to see how many people like thirst for her, including people much younger than us who grew up with the Scooby-Doo movies, and they had like urgent, like the first time they were like, ooh, was like looking at her as Velma. And so there's always like thirst trap pictures of her, or not thirst trap, they're just pictures of her as Velma that people post. And recently, when she was on DTF St. Louis and she had like a sexy scene and like a see-through slit, people are like, oh my God, Linda Cardellini, I've been loving her forever. So it's funny to me that they're like, oh, we don't want to remind people her actual age, even though everyone's like, she's still freaking hot. It doesn't matter. And she's like,
it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And she's like she's like 5 years younger than Betsy Palmer when she played Pamela Voorhees. Anyway, this is such a quick tease, but I am gonna cross my fingers that this will be a cool show, even though it's still sad it's not the Brian Fuller version.
All right. Elsewhere in horror news, The Conjuring First Communion has cast its younger versions. It's a prequel, younger versions of Ed and Lorraine Warren, and that is Garrett Waring and Amanda Fix, two stars who have done things that I haven't seen.
The Long Walk. Well, The Long Walk is what I know him from.
I saw it once, and he looks like a dude. I'm like, okay, who is he in the movie? I don't know. Was he that sort of the weird alpha dog who warms up by the end?
He had a lineage.
Was he the son? He the son?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Yes. The only thing that's really funny to me about this is that the final regular Conjuring movie, the fourth one, has a extended flashback at the beginning with young Ed and Lorraine, played by different actors, and it seemed like, oh, these will be who will play them in a prequel, and then they didn't use them, so I feel bad for those actors because they had it seemed like it was all teed up for them to take over the franchise, but New Line said, you know what, nah.
All right, and then we had some first look photos for Carrie, along with like a released synopsis for the show.
Well,
this is Mike
Flanagan's. It was a big
Carrie series.
It was a big EW article, so they talked to Flanagan and they had kind of a big overview of it.
It's a show we're both excited about. It's not a show that where it's like anything super new is being revealed by the plot summary, and the photos look good, and everything looks like, this looks like it could be. There's nothing glaring about any of it that points us in any direction.
Oh,
it's just
I thought there was something big to talk about.
Okay, go ahead. All right, talk about
it. The big thing that was making people go, what? He's trying to turn it into X-Men, is that he talking about how each episode will show other girls who also have telekinetic powers. That'll like be these moments showing other girls in other places with this, which was funny that people.
So each episode focuses on Carrie?
Okay. No, I'm saying it opens. It opens each episode.
Well, it stands to reason, I suppose. I mean, that is an interesting. Also, look, we have to figure out a way to extend this story into a series, but it does seem to extend, like the way that The Shining works is that there are more people with The Shining. Like no one's an isolated incident in the Stephen King universe.
That was the main thing that I think a lot of us were like. Because a lot of us are like, you think Mark Flanagan doesn't know his Stephen King, which is to say, not only does the book Carrie infer that other girls have had abilities like this, but all of Stephen King's work is very explicit about people having other psychic abilities, and whether or not you consider them all to be The Shining, that's a fan thing. But a lot of fans will say, oh, Carrie has The Shining. I don't think Stephen King has said that. But you consider Charlie from Firestarter.
I was going to say she has pyrokinesis, right?
Yes.
It's just a different kinesis.
Yeah. So anyway, it is funny when people think that they're like, they have an aha gotcha moment, and then it's like, no, actually, as we've talked, Stephen King all about the connected universe, and guess what? Lots of people have superpowers, and lots of people have psychic powers.
I did text you about how regrettable is the wrong word, but she was so good, Samantha Sloyan in Midnight Mass, as what feels like a very similar character. Mm-hmm. The religious zealot, because she's playing the mom, the oft hateable mom, and one of the Stephen King, one of his best things that he does is he's able to create some of the most loathsome characters.
Yeah.
His bullies and his people that you want to see die absolutely horribly, which Sloyan's character in Midnight Mass does die, but not horribly enough, to be honest. Like, she dies alone and afraid and in pain, but that was somehow did not satiate. Okay. But yeah, she's playing the mom, and I'm like, this would have been a fun Kate Siegel role. Like, switch it up. I just want to see Sam do something that she hasn't done. But also, I'm glad Sam's eaten. So there you go. So
there you go. They're
not
gonna
to deprive Sam of a paycheck.
They're going to Comic-Con with that show, but I don't think timing wise will work out. I know I won't be at the panel because it's the same time as Marvel Studios, and I was really hoping to be at the studio, IGN studio, to say hi to her. And there's other people I know involved in that show, but unfortunately, timing won't work out. Comic-Con is a busy beast, and there's too much going on.
I do like how a lot of how the BSG crew has sort of merged over into the Flanagan in small ways, which is like with Michael Trucco and Katie Sackhoff, and Temo Pennickett's in this series.
Mm-hmm.
So they're kind of getting them all in there.
Hey,
and by all in there, I mean 3 of the 11 people from BSG.
I mean, there's a lot more than 11.
It was a large ensemble.
It was a large cast. Yeah.
All right, that's our horror news. I hope you like it. I hope you like it, guys. Eric, there are reports that I don't know. One of the trades reported that the Blue Beetle will be in Man of Tomorrow, which will mark Matt Fowler's first time seeing the Blue Beetle on screen. I did not see Blue Beetle movie, so
well, it
looked like it was going to be a perfectly like executed color by numbers superhero movie, which is why I kind of didn't see it.
It was a nice, sweet origin story with a nice, sweet character and his family. It obviously came out in a very strange year where there were 4 DCEU movies, even as we knew it was a dead franchise and they were rebooting it. Yeah. But James Gunn had said at the time that he saw no reason that this version of Blue Beetle couldn't continue on. But you never knew if that would really happen. The movie was a completely self-contained movie. They referenced Batman and other characters existing, but unlike other ones, there was no images of them. So it was not in any way, it didn't have to do anything like Peacemaker to like slightly reboot. It was like, all they was saying was that the other heroes exist, which Superman already said, and other stuff said. So yes, it was first. There was many reports because he'd been spotted on set, and then Variety and the trades picked it up.
And the same actor, I believe you
Xolo,
say Xolo
No, it's Xolo. I had to moderate a couple of Cobra Kai panels, so I knew it was Xolo. Although now I'm forgetting how to say his last name, Mariduena.
And
anyway, he is returning as Blue Beetle. And it is one of these funny things, as like we're at this weird place with the DCU and Supergirl bombing, and everything we've talked about is it are they going too big on the Superman related stuff, and it's weird that we don't have Batman and Wonder Woman, and we'll talk more about Batman in a second, and the strange kind of way they're handcuffed with Batman because there's a non-DCU version, and I think they clearly are afraid of having it be confusing if they introduce different.
So we're also in a weird spot with the DCEU, or the DCU, I should say, where they're obviously it's at the whims of James Gunn, and he was given sort of like carte blanche, like like, hey, do what you want. We want to see your vision, and he's like, well, I am gonna do what I want until the flame that burns twice as bright lasts half as long, which is to say, series are being greenlit that Marvel ran into trouble with during the streaming glut, right? Which is like, do we need a Gorilla Grodd series? Do we need, like, before we get Batman, before we get Wonder Woman, like you said, do we need the Jimmy Olsen story? Like all these other things.
Right. I just added because you're starting to say that.
Jimmy Trotto
is playing Gorilla Grodd. So it's the 1-2 punch of, okay, so these are two different things, because Xolo playing Blue Beetle again in Man of Tomorrow is really
that's different, but yeah,
it's a fun, nice thing. Do I think it's going to sell extra tickets to that movie? No, but I think it's cool. Whereas Jimmy Tatro playing Gorilla Grodd sounds very fun to me, Eric Goldman, while I also question doing the Jimmy Olsen Gorilla Grodd story as a TV series this early on when they haven't introduced a lot of big characters.
I think that they are overestimating people's investment in this franchise at this point. Yeah. So anyway, Trato is Grodd. Trato is a YouTube star who now does acting. You could recently see him in Scream
I mean, yeah,
7.
Yes, I mean,
but I was introduced to him in season 1 of American Vandal.
Yeah, I mean, his YouTube stardom seems so far away. I don't even think you have to mention it anymore because it's like I think about theater camp.
What do I say? I think I said Tatro.
Yeah, American Vandal, theater camp, Scream 7.
Theater camp is very good.
And he's in a really bad Netflix series playing Will Ferrell's son that came out this week called The Hawk, but it's not his fault. There's a lot of funny people in it who aren't funny because it's not a good show. And it's one of those things where a lot of funny people made something that isn't good. And you're like, this is unfortunate. You can read my review on IGN. That's
Sure.
The Hawk.
And let's get into Batman since we talked about how he hasn't shown up in the DCU. The Batman Part 2, Chapter 2?
I think it's called Part 2.
Part 2. The long-awaited Robert Pattinson follow-up has been delayed again until early 2028. February
2028, yes.
But they're like, but look, here's a screen test of
Robert
they're
Pattinson filming it. They're actually filming the movie. So
yeah,
that's
it'll happen. And did you see that there was a bunch of like online chatter where because Sebastian Stan has like kind of a shaved head, not bald, but a shaved head, they're like, oh, he's not playing Dent, he's playing Zaz. So there's this whole thing where it's like, do you not know that everyone wears a wig, by the way? And like for him to play Bucky every time he puts a wig on because like they never know how long Bucky's hair is going to be.
Right.
And sometimes Bucky has a bad wig.
And again, we have no idea, but say he is playing Harvey Dent and say Harvey Dent becomes Two-Face in this movie. He's going to absolutely be wearing a wig as Two-Face.
And everyone's like, no, he's Zaz. I'm like, you are so stupid.
Yes. Yeah, so it sucks. Obviously, it's going to be this 6-year break between these Batman movies. And yeah, it sucks. At the same time, it is actually filming. It was part of a bunch of Warner Brothers date shifting, including this new J.J. Abrams movie that is being delayed a year. Now they're going to release it in 70 millimeter. And whether or not they think they're delaying it a year because they think it's good or because it's bad is up to how much you hate or are optimistic about J.J. Abrams. But anyway, they didn't have to move Batman into 2028. I think they just decided that's where it's best position. Also, people are freaking out that it's not going to be in summer. I mean, we've had massive hits like Black Panther and Deadpool open in February. Anything can be a big hit if it's the right movie, and clearly Batman.
And also, look at the things that are flopping and flailing in the summer that happens too. People sometimes, first of all, money's tight. People are going to pick their movies ahead of time. Like I'll see, and they'll pick 3 movies. This summer, I can afford to see these 3 movies with or without my family. I'm going to see the Toy Story. I'm going to see this. So what they're not seeing is like the Moana or the what else? Or, maybe they had their horror fill and Evil Dead Burn doesn't get as much money as it should have, which you have written in here. Both open light, both opening the same weekend, the live action Moana. And which we talked about as being too soon after Moana 2 and also maybe too soon after Moana.
Yeah,
itself.
Absolutely.
Like to do a live action remake, it doesn't like hit the nostalgia chimes that like a Lilo and Stitch did, which is like, it's been so long and now we're seeing a story retold in a different way. It feels like we've been bombarded with Moana for the past decade anyway, regardless. And I don't know, I think we're at a point now where there is just Dwayne Johnson pushback. I think what once was a charming, like celebrity facade of who seemed like a really kind and intent listener, more and more has sort of like feels like a phony sheen, where it's just like it's like selling his tequila, selling his body scent, selling his thing, it just all feels like he feels more like a brand now than like he may have never been a genuine person like doing junkets and stuff, but he felt like it, and I feel like he feels less like that now, and also enough box office disappointments under his belt where he's not like this invincible rock guy. I just think there's the tide has turned a bit on the Johnsons.
It has, And I like it. Look, I'm a fan of Dwayne Johnson's going back to The Rock,
Also,
early
everyone
Rocky.
has a window. Everyone has a
Yeah,
that's
of course. I think he is a likable persona. I think he is a good actor. I'm not saying he's a great actor, but he can be a good, likable, charismatic actor. He's given good performances. He's been in some really fun movies, and but at the same time, yeah, the honing of everything, and I mean, he would talk about it openly, but it was became so calculated, and it really bothered me. And I wasn't the only one to say this when the Smashing Machine came out, which I think he's really good at. But I think a big problem when he was promoting that movie was how disingenuous it was for him to say in interviews, well, I'd been pigeonholed. That's why I wasn't doing anything like this. Because I was like, dude, you were at the point of you were so big you could have done whatever the fuck you want. Especially a low budget movie. There was nothing stopping him from doing a little low budget movie
right
before, and for him to act like they wouldn't. You don't have to say they wouldn't bankroll it because you could have done an 824.
I was gonna say my own production company wouldn't do it. Like $7 production said no. So
yeah, so that bothered me because it was like, yeah, trying to position a certain way. It doesn't mean I think like, I like him as a persona. I think he can be good and stuff, but I think people were very oversaturated with him. There was too much mediocre stuff and too much of the similar stuff. At the same time, and there was a lot of other issues with doing Moana that we've talked about, but doesn't surprise me.
Which is why I'm pretty sure he will fight Roman Reigns at WrestleMania coming up
well,
this
yes,
year.
it seems possible. I want to mention though, because there is a big article in Variety, but it's just been talked about a lot. What a big year this has been for the box office. This is going to be the most successful year since 2019, has in biggest year since the pandemic, and the Variety article and a lot of them have really talked about Gen Z rising up has a strong movie-going audience when people said they wouldn't care, and how that's turned out not to be true, and that they actually are going to the movies. They're going to the movies more than Gen X. Fuck our generation, Matt. We failed. And
look. But also, we don't care. We're apathetic at the same time. So, because we're slackers. So that was.
But I'm very happy to hear that, and all the studios are agreeing on at least 45-day window now. And yeah, it's been a much more optimistic year. And of course, you're still going to have bombs. But
so then, why didn't Gen Z show up for Evil Dead Burn? Is it too mean? Also, Evil Dead would mean nothing to them. So, Evil Dead as a franchise,
but Evil Dead Rise was the biggest hit of the entire series. I get it,
but also remember there was it would have been a long time between Evil Dead movies, and this looked like a new concept, and people, I don't know. Again, was it too mean? I don't know.
Was it too mean? Was the timing just off? Again, it's probably not going to lose money. It was $20 million budget, so it's not going to be hard.
Timing was off, but it's unfortunate. You can listen to us talk about all about spoiler-filled chat about Evil Dead Burn on our Patreon exclusive episode.
And we don't have to worry about them making another. They already made it. It's in the can.
Sure. But it's not a sequel to this one, so we'll see what happens. Okay. I still haven't seen the post credit sequence.
I don't want to say, I'm not going to say a spoiler for it. I'm just going to say this. It is very funny to me that there are 2 credit sequences to Evil Dead Burn that tease future events when the next movie's a prequel. So it's like,
it's weird.
Yeah.
All right. And then what did Moana open with? It cost a shit ton. So that's the thing. That's the thing.
Yeah, and it barely opened. It made like 42. It was basically right above Snow White, which is not where you want to be. Again, nothing is an absolute. So I understand people are like, let this be the death of these live action remakes of animated movies. Well, guess what? Lilo and Stitch made $1 billion in between Snow White and Moana. It is about the right project at the right time. And Lilo and Stitch was the right project at the right time. Moana was not. And so, it seems like it might have okay legs. It still cost way too much. By the way, huge difference. Lilo and Stitch cost $100 million and Moana cost like $250. So
that's a massive difference.
Yeah. And Dwayne Johnson got like 20 to 30 million.
I mean, look, he's getting paid no matter what, if a movie does well or not. A couple other news items here. You got a lot on this docket, Eric.
I know, but I feel
like this is a bummer. This is a bummer because we talked about it for God of War.
Sucks.
So Ryan Hurst, who is cast as Kratos in God of War, and you know him from Sons of Anarchy and some other shows, who literally has had a long beard and has looked like a mountain man for years, and maybe in anticipation of getting this role if this show ever got made, got cast, and then he got hurt during filming, and he tore his bicep, and the recovery process is like 4 to 6 months. This is something that if you're a wrestling fan, you're very
Yeah,
familiar with, the
very.
tearing of muscles and how long the recovery time takes. And so he's out. They're going to replace the role. They can't put off production that long, so they're going to recast. We don't know who yet, right? Like I assume
No, no.
they assume they're going to go to their whoever their number 2 pick would have been.
I mean, it's got to be someone. I'm sure they want to start soon.
Dominic Sessa.
So it's got to be someone who, that's the funny thing is like it can't even be like, hey, we're casting you, get in better shape. They're gonna want this person to go soon. So yeah, I'm like,
This is when we get The Rock.
The Rock. It absolutely sucks, and I can see like on a production side because there are two major factors here. One is they had a 2-season commitment already, which is always crazy, but they do. So they have to like make stuff quickly. And his co-star is a kid. And so that's the other
kid,
thing.
He's going to get old and tall, and his voice is going to change. Yeah.
Yes. And so then it's like, well, where they recast the kid, they're not going to recast the kid, but they're going to have to reshoot because they'd filmed 4 episodes. They're going to have to reshoot most of it because they can't, because it's the two of them together. So they're going to have to, the brunt of it will be reshot. It'll be interesting to see, who it is, how quickly it starts happening. But I feel really bad for Ryan Hurst. That absolutely sucks. And what a weird week for him because he has a sizable role in the Odyssey. He's the big guy next to Tom Holland for most of the movie, mentor. And so
Tom Holland isn't big like any guys.
No, but he is still notably a large man. Anyway, so he's in the Odyssey right now. Then he was supposed to follow it with like his first role where he's like kind of the lead guy, and then this happens. So that
let's hope he just remains part of the Nolan players and gets another part. Then end of an era, end of a very sort of like identity driven era for Marvel Comics, which is moving their New York staff from their New York office, their legendary New York office, to Los Angeles. And this is just a huge thing because Marvel Comics are so cross-identified with New York City because of and all of their heroes taking place in New York City, and like real landmarks being used because this is where the writers were, this is where the artists were, this is where everything this was the hub. And now it's going to the West Coast.
It's not like it's, on one hand, taking a step back, it's not like the most shocking thing. DC did it a decade ago, who were also always in New York.
But they didn't deal with New York in their stories.
Right. The fact that Marvel, and in the 60s especially, the MCU hasn't been as much, though there's still a good amount. But the fact that when the Marvel Comics 1960s era breakout happened, that everything took place, the Hulk might be one of the big exceptions, but everything took place in New York. And that, like, by the time we got the Iron Man movie, they're like, he lives in LA, which happened later in the comics, but he was in everyone was in New York. And it was all like, it was basically like them saying like, hey, that's where this is where we live, this is where they live. And so it really did put a connection between the city and the characters and the universe. So it's just kind of weird, even though, again, in real life, here's what happened. Everything else is in LA. Marvel, Feige is running everything, including the comics now. And their lease was up on very expensive rent in New York. And so, of course, they're like, okay, it's time to move everyone and put it all in Burbank. But the Marvel characters aren't all in Burbank, Matt. That would be a very different Marvel universe.
Let's go to Atomic Records. Yeah.
Spider-Man would just not have, it just wouldn't work for him.
That's the thing is like, and that was actually something in Homecoming that I really appreciated when he's like out on that golf course and it's like, oh, I can't swing everywhere.
Yeah, they do the Ferris Bueller scene. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, let's see what else. Oh, and then you've got stuff here about 12 states filing lawsuits to stop Paramount from buying Warner Brothers, and another lawsuit over the Ellison side deal with Trump. I will defer to you to talk all about the legal aspects of this.
I won't go too deep dive into but say 12 states, they're big ones, California, Oregon, Arizona, Nevada, New York, doing a lawsuit together that basically saying like, anti-competitive, anti-try, all those things you expect, that, saying that basically this is going to hurt the industry, hurt the film industry. It will take away jobs. It will take away production. So there's that. Then there's this other lawsuit talking about how, there was evidence of Ellison's making, side deal with Trump and basically promising him everything we expected anyway, which is once we take over Warner Brothers, we'll have CNN and we'll make sure CNN's nice to you and all the bullshit that we live in right now, like we're doing with CBS. And it's just interesting to see that there are now 4 big lawsuits. My pessimism says it still eventually goes through, but it seems like it's going to be a big fight to get there. Like it does seem like this is going to be a lot of people are really trying to stop this from happening. We live in the dark times, bad times, so I think it ends up still happening. But
I
it
love
does.
living in a time when evil goes unpunished and there are no consequences for actions. It's so choice.
It's the best.
5 out of 5. Highly recommend. Yeah, I hope that the good fight is just more than the good fight, and that it actually leads to something. But it's hard to hang on to that hope these days.
Yay! Yay!
Guess what? I don't have to worry about it. I can just get high every night. There you go. How about that?
Yeah,
Hey,
it's true.
Okay, onto the use. I think that we ran the gamut there of everything on the list. I won't go into the full dive, but there was a little mini debate, or just questions on the Patreon after we did Evil Dead Burn about, hey, how do you guys load your dishwashers? And the consensus is that pointy side up is psychotic, and that's agreed.
I mean,
Agreed.
it'd be funny if this wasn't inspired by Evil Dead Burn.
Yeah. Hey guys, I have a question. Nicholas
It's
says it's like a nurse handing a scalpel to a surgeon, pointy side first.
it's
Brian
really about
also,
the fact that picking them up like would just it would make
it's
it
stupid.
too
It's stupid. But also
I
the
I
mom
mean
in
they
the
I
mom
think
in that movie is also stupid.
and
Everyone's
they try to slightly justify it by her doing it hastily because I saw the movie second
Oh,
time
we didn't this non-spoiler for Evil Dead Burn. There's something I wanted to
Mhm.
bring up and I didn't, which was like there was a scene where she has all these skewers because had like meat
Right.
skewers. And I'm like, oh, those are coming back. They don't. Anyway, so I was like, oh, unless they're in the dishwasher and I missed it, but I don't think so. Brian also asked about the Circle of Wise Men, and he said that must allude to the wise man in Army of Darkness, I guess. Maybe that's what I guess we could say.
Wait, say this
Um,
again. Say this part again.
so the wise man in Army of Darkness,
Hmm.
is that why it's called Circle of Wise Men, the secret
Oh,
society, right? Like,
it may
and
be
again,
maybe.
we did joke on the podcast that it may have been like, it sounds like something that Ash would say, like as a flippant comment,
Yeah.
But
Well, it's funny because Evil Dead Rise, and again, I'll be vague and dance around this, but it's like the fact that Evil Dead Burn does add more lore to everything in a series that's been a little loosey goosey, but also it's funny because when Evil Dead Rise came out, Lee Cronin of Lee Cronin's The Mummy fame talked about how he was going by the idea that because the funny scene in Army of Darkness where there's the three books that
right.
those are the three Necronomicons, and that he was using the third. That 2013 used the second, and that Ash, the original Evil Dead movies, had used the first.
Then Eric, which one did the Voorhees family use?
I think that's a great question. But I was going
So
to say
that might be in Crystal Lake, as we find that
right.
Pamela is using the Necronomicon. So a lot of people have been like, these are Evil Dead movies if you really stretch your brain really hard. And it's like The Mummy and Lee Cronin's The Mummy, and Jason Goes to Hell.
Drag Me to Hell.
Yeah, Drag Me to Hell. All the things where Necronomicon just kind of shows up as a funny sort of.
Well, yeah, I guess you don't see the Necronomicon Drag Me to Hell, but yeah, it's Evil Dead coded. But what I was going to say, it's funny, is that Evil Dead Burn. Again, I don't think this is really a spoiler, but anyway, Evil Dead Burn. There is no physical Necronomicon on screen. There's like scans. And I guess that sidesteps having to deal with the fact of like, how would we get one of the three books, or do we introduce a fourth book? And
Right.
their answer is to say, we've got some copies. We got some pages.
Someone went to FedEx Kinko's.
Yeah.
And had a hell of a time. David writes in, and this is an actual write-in. Hello, love you guys. Hope you are well. I finished The Americans last week, and I'm wondering if you guys spoke about the finale anywhere. I think channel surfing had wrapped up by then. I love the show so much. You guys used to rave about it, but sometimes I'm slow to catch up on things. I don't know that you and I specifically talked about The Americans on a podcast, though you may have done a channel surfing episode with someone else.
No,
about
no.
it.
I actually looked this up. He was right that channel surfing had finished, and you and I finished it together. I was working at Marvel at the time, so I was barely covering until we started, and we started the wrestling podcast when I was at Fandom. So during my Marvel era, I couldn't really cover non-Marvel stuff. So unfortunately, I didn't really talk about or cover the Americans finale publicly anywhere, though I adore that series, adore the finale, adore
Though
it
it
all.
is genuinely thought of by us as well as one of those when they do those list of like the 10 shows that landed the plane that had the perfect finale. And it's usually on those lists. And if it's not, then that person's wrong. Yeah, because it is one of the well-regarded shows where it's like, this ended great, which is really hard to do. Okay, and then David continues. Also, I have one episode left to watch in season 4 of From. And I'm so glad to hear it'll get a 5th season. I'm a coward, yet I powered through this show. I love it so much. From is one of those weird off the radar shows for us. What is it? MGM Plus or what? Where is that at? Where it's one of those shows where all these actors have disappeared for years off other things because they're on a show that we're not watching on a streaming service we don't have. So it's.
But I mean, look, to its credit, it has found its following. What it's going into, it's got a 5th and final season.
Yeah.
Coming. So From has been found, and so good for From, and maybe one day I'll watch it because I hear good things about it.
Okay. And then he closes out because he mentioned that he's a coward, but he powered through the show. He said, I rarely watch the scary movies you guys will do a run of, but I still listen to the episodes and thoroughly enjoy them. Knee lift, David. Thank you, David, for doing that. This is what I mentioned to you about like when we were doing Insidious. I was like, I know we have listeners who don't like horror, which sounds crazy to us, but they exist out there, I swear. And so, but I'm glad that you listen anyway, David. Thank you.
Yes, very much so.
Okay, Eric, recommendation.
Recommendation. Oh, by the way, as a quick tangent, because we mentioned Marvel again, Matt, you went with me. We went to the Marvel office together.
I am glad that I got to tour the Marvel offices with Eric. And
we have really a picture fun. With Rocket and Groot.
if you say so, I don't remember.
No, I very recently came across this photo. I'll send it to you if I can find it again. I obviously I went to the Marvel office a few times when I worked at Marvel and I was in New York, but earlier on, Matt and I went there because we were having lunch with some friends from there. Anyway, recommendations. I'll keep this short because this obviously went really long with news, and say go see the Odyssey, everyone. These my support.
I'm glad that you're sticking up for the small independent DIY movie.
And then I'll be an asshole because I'll say I got to see a press screening in IMAX 70mm.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like
looked amazing.
I'm gonna have to catch it not in IMAX first, and then hopefully wait for IMAX.
I'm sure you will.
First of all, I know, but I'm saying like I'm fortunate to have an actual real IMAX here. Yeah. It's just that it's one IMAX for a metroplex of 9 million people, so it's pretty much sold out. And when I say that, I mean 7:30 a.m. to midnight showings.
Oh yeah,
with only maybe some showings having front row seats for at least a month. So that's it's like there's no way I'm getting in there anytime soon. So.
Oh yeah, same here. Obviously, the real IMAX at City Walk, that's the case. It was sold out at 3 a.m. last night. It's all insane. But anyway, but you should go see the movie regardless. It's a very impressive.
Now,
movie.
Should I go to like an AMC Limax, Eric, or should I just see it at like Alamo Big Show?
I would see it at a Limax probably if you could.
All right. And then I am recommending just a show on Apple TV. So Apple TV's got good stuff.
They do.
And I know I don't want to keep this longer than it has to be, but I want to mention that it is funny the way that WWE will always try to glom onto whatever the pop culture buzz is happening, and that's become harder and harder to do as fandom has become more fragmented and the content has just become an overwhelming avalanche. Like there's there used to be like people used to just, and again, even in this era of Game of Thrones or Walking Dead, they were still the standouts in a glut of stuff.
Yeah.
Now the glut is even bigger. It's just a sea of content. And Widow's Bay, has buzz around it. It got a ton of Emmy nominations too, rightfully so. And it's a show people are talking about. But again, it's still on Apple. Now I know that Ted Lasso was a big hit and it drove a lot of people to Apple TV, but it's still it's very, very few people have Apple TV. So to hear like Corey Graves on Raw this week being like, she looks like the sea hag from Widow's Bay, and I'm like, okay, who's seen that? Like, who's watched?
I mean, for what it's worth, Widow's Bay is going to be in Hall H next week. I mean, it's Apple's doing a whole block, but it's the one thing they're bringing. Everything else is
Hall H can probably fit every single person that actually has Apple TV in the US. So.
Yes.
All right. Mine is an Apple TV series that just started, and it stars Anya Taylor-Joy and Timothy Olyphant and Annette Bening. It's called Lucky. And it's a pulpy, crimey thriller from Jonathan Tropper, who co-created Banshee, created Warrior, and then also another Apple series that I like called Your Friends and Neighbors, which is not like of those other shows. It's more of sort of a dark suburban comedy. But Lucky has only aired a few episodes so far. I have not watched screeners of it, so I'm just sort of watching along. But it's really fun, and so far it is like Lucky, as her namesake goes, gets put through the ringer. She's on the run from like the cops and the mob, and it's each episode is really about her being on the run and trying to stop herself from either being arrested or killed, or both. Right? She and her husband stole a bunch of money, and then she wakes up in Vegas the morning they're supposed to leave town with the money, and he is gone, and the money's gone, and the FBI show up to Caesar's palace where they're staying, and she has to escape. And you sort of learn the story as it goes along, because there's crime lords involved and a determined FBI agent, and Lucky's just caught in the middle of it. And it's fun stuff. If you like shows, sort of like edge of your seat shows where someone has to get out of seemingly impossible situations, and she's not like Jason Bourne in a way. Like, it's not like she's going to fight her way out, but she's just like, through grit and determination and sort of street smarts, she ekes through, and it's a lot of fun. Anyway, Lucky.
Yeah, absolutely want to watch that post Comic-Con. I had the screeners, I just didn't get around to it. Obviously, yeah, Anya Taylor-Joy, love her, love Timothy Oliphant. Him playing her dad is really cool. And so I wanted to see this show since I first heard about it, but I shall soon.
Yeah.
I always tell people, because yeah, Apple has so many good shows, but I understand that a lot of people don't have Apple. I'll often tell them, I know they're probably not going to actually do it, but I'll often say, look, you could get Apple for a month or two and watch like this list of great shows, and you'll be very happy.
Yeah.
There's just a nice catalog there of high quality stuff. But look, they've had some breakouts, obviously, with Severance and Ted Lasso, and these things are popping, and it feels like Widow's Bay maybe isn't at that level yet, but it's certainly getting a lot of attention, and people are really into it, and I'm sure it will, maybe like Severance, will really benefit from the break between seasons as more people discover it. That's always.
By the way, Tropper wrote Star Wars Starfighter, which I think is interesting. I mean, he's done a lot of things, but like that sort of like franchise leap, he is solely credited with writing the movie. So that's one more reason why I want to see that. Okay. Lucky on Apple TV. And that concludes our news and news this week. Everyone, just remember, everything is possible and nothing is real. And Shakma.
Shakma.
Shakma!